Hey, good evening, everyone. Hey, ladies, y'all look so cute. Love it. So I'm Ty, your host. We have our main host, Darvinique, here tonight, but she's leaving early. Cheer. Okay.
Right.
We have Lena, and then we have our new, oh, look at Morgan's here. I was just wondering, too, like, when is Morgan gonna jump in?
Yeah.
So we have Morgan, and then we have, is it Marthile? Marthile? I feel like I'm always going to say it wrong. I'm sorry.
You're good. It's Martilde.
Martio. Yes, we had her on a couple weeks ago and she was spitting some knowledge for us.
Right.
And then tonight we have Morgan. Morgan, have you been on our show yet?
I have not, no.
Okay, perfect. So before we get into our topic, which is relationship meddlers, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. I am 20 years old. I'm actually a theater major at Loyola Marymount University right now. But I do a lot of things. I'm a caregiver for special needs children, and then I'm also like an aspiring actress model. So I'm in a lot of student films all the time, like every weekend. And I am currently taking modeling and acting classes outside of school as well. I coach at Avanti. Yeah, I do a lot of different things.
Okay, love it. Good. Well, welcome to the show. We are so glad to have you with us.
Thank you.
So yeah, ladies, relationship meddlers. That's gonna be our new topic. So I really have a lot to say. I'm not gonna lie, because it's so many different avenues we can go through with this. But let's start with we're gonna leave the side pieces for like the last end. Well,
Yeah.
we'll get on it. We'll let Darvinique chime in too before she leaves. But we're gonna say that for last for the last maybe 30 minutes. So let's get with family and friends. So relationship meddlers, who's all in a relationship first and foremost? Okay, I know Lena's married.
Yes.
I'm in a situationship. Does that count?
It does count.
It does. Why not?
Okay, I'm gonna raise my hand like this.
Yeah.
Look at Keoni.
Okay, and so Morgan, you're in a relationship, situationship, or married?
Situationship, we'll say that. Like,
Okay.
yeah, not big on labels, but yeah.
Okay,
that's
and
big.
then Martial?
Why not big on labels? We gotta come back
Not
to
big
that.
on labels.
Yeah. I was with you. Yes.
Okay. Here's the thing. I feel like when you assign labels to things, it comes with a certain set of expectations, and then automatically, like, that comes with a certain amount of responsibilities. And again, like expectations as to what that should mean according to what we think of when we think of that like label, So to me, in order to sort of like keep it organic and not
Fluid.
Right. It's just like, just don't think about what it is. Let's just be in the moment. I enjoy your presence. You enjoy my presence. There is sort of like, you do have to talk about, okay, are you talking to other people? Just so we know like what page we're on. But other than that, like, as long as you know how you feel about that person, how they feel about you, I don't think it should matter what you call them, if that makes sense.
Fuck that! No, I'm just playing. No, I'm kidding.
But then I feel like it does get a little tricky though, because if you think about it, like, what if you start falling in love and you're like, okay, I really love this dude or gal, and I'm thinking that we're on the same page with love, but then we have no titles. So then they're like, I'm still over here doing my thing, being single, and you in love. Like,
yeah, I think that's sort of like where communication comes in, right? And it's also like you have to know like what you're comfortable with and what they're comfortable with. And I just feel like that comes with being on the same page, like you can ask, like, I know I've definitely asked, like, straight up, are you talking to other people? And if they say no, okay, cool, then I probably won't talk to anybody else either. But if they say yes, then okay, it's my prerogative to have other people on the side as well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Tequila says situationships are real because there are a lot of ships that sail and a lot of people need to get off some of those ships. Yeah, facts,
Yes, all the
facts.
snaps. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like that's where the side pieces come in and make things all complicated. And then you're in
Should've
this
got off that
big
ship.
love thing and you're like, where do I fit in at, you know? Do you guys think that this works for a territorial type of person?
No,
Mm.
I'm with.
Oh,
I'm with.
like a situationship.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, they
Absolutely.
need to know where they stand. If they're like, yeah, territorial, I need to know, are you mine or somebody else's?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's really, yeah, territorial, soft gate. They're gonna want to know where they stand. But I
Yeah,
think it all comes back to communication. To be
Mhm.
honest, what Morgan was saying, you don't really have to put the label on it if you're communicating in the first place. So
Very true.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm kind of on board with you, Morgan, just a little bit.
The married one, yes, the married one.
You know what I recently heard? So nowadays, I think it's important to ask if a person is polygamous. Like if they're,
Yes.
That's good.
that's a thing. Somebody posted, is it polyamorous? Am I saying it right? What is the
Oh,
word,
That's
y'all?
I
right.
think that's it. Yeah, poly.
yeah.
When they're open to dating more than one person at one time because there's no boundaries. Like, so
Mhm.
Morgan, the fluid that you and I were talking about is different from what they do.
No, I know, and you know what? I have a friend. I don't know that I would call him my friend, but I know a person who
Yeah.
is polyamorous, like refuses to be in a monogamous relationship. And the way it's like a whole community, like they will literally
Yeah.
have dinners and like get-togethers with everyone who everyone is dating, just so it's like and so it's like the other person, so it's not weird, so you don't like because you're sleeping with these people presumably, I don't know, so it's like you want to know, and if you're sleeping with them and they're sleeping with that, you're kind of sleeping with everyone in a sense, so it's like you want to get to know who it is that you're in bed with. That's really what it is. Like they will get to know these people's others partners. I thought it was really weird. I didn't want to judge. I said, oh, okay.
Yeah,
But
no judgment.
It's a little gross, but okay.
I just think it's just too much of a spiritual exchange.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is because naturally when you have a connection with somebody, you take on those spiritual attributes and characteristics and nuances of a person, and you feel what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
I think that's why a lot of people are running around confused and unclear, not
Better
only
say
about
so.
what they want, but about
Yeah.
who they are, because it's too much happening. It's too much
Mhm.
going on, and you're exchanging quote unquote energies,
Yeah.
right? And I guess this is just from a personal opinion. I feel like it's more manageable based off of my mindset and where I'm at to deal with one person at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely, because you can't really, when you're in a relationship or situationship, you have to cater to, you cater to that person's needs and they cater to yours, and you can't really do that when you're spreading yourself thin. Your cup runs empty, and if they're not feeding back into you, you have nothing left at the end other than, oh, I had a good time. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I think we fall short with the society of not really having an intentional, intimate connection.
Yeah.
And
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that puts us in a place of running from vulnerability because you keep disconnecting. Oh, gotta go. Up,
Yeah,
up,
put
up.
that wall up. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah. But at the same time, people who are, is it polyamorous, polygamy?
Yeah.
Poly want a pocket.
Polygamous.
Put
It's
down.
polygamous,
We
ain't
just
it?
gonna call them Polly.
Poly want a pocket. When you're in that relationship, that situationship, or that thing, I think naturally the mindsets of the individuals are like that. They're just okay with exchanging energies and just okay with the highway coming through them. That's fine for them.
With the highway coming through them. I like that. I like that.
Too much traffic.
But I do feel like, so back to this whole polygamous, and then wanting to meet all of the people that you're sleeping with and your partner's sleeping with. We look, I mean, I guess we don't look down on that. We kind of judge it
Right.
a little bit like, that ain't for me. But then think about like in today's world where everyone's cheating anyway. So it's like, would you rather know who they are and get along, or would you rather not know and just be, doing your thing, and then you got to find out and be heartbroken about it?
Oh my goodness. Please, please. I don't want to mispronounce your beautiful name,
Martil. Did I say it right?
Martil.
Yeah, see, Martil. I got it.
Matilde. I feel like I want to hear what Matilde has to say on
She's
this
been
part.
quiet. Yes.
And first and foremost, I was asking,
I
were
was
you married or are you in
absorbing.
a relationship?
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what is that?
You married or you're just in a relationship?
I'm married, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I
About
knew
to get
it.
separated, so yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. So I think I was absorbing everything that everyone was saying. And I think that the energies, I totally agree with you on the social, when it comes to those spiritual bonds, those what do they call them?
Soul ties.
Soul
Ties,
ties.
yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Those are real. Those are definitely real. But what were we talking about? In terms of situationships, I think that it comes down to communication. It also comes down to who we are as a person, knowing who we are, what our
Yes.
boundaries are, what we're really tied to in terms of the result. Because we can say, yeah, I'm going to go with the flow, but if your heart of heart says you want a relationship, you may be disappointed if you're not really being true to yourself.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So I love that it just boils down to individuality and who you are as an individual. That's so brilliant. That's so
Because
eloquently
it may
said.
work for you, it may work for them, it may not work
Yes.
for the next person. And so it just has to be that constant communication, I think, checking in with yourself as well as that partner.
Yes. Tequila says there are different types of relationships, so you have to have an understanding of your relationship. Relations to that ship. Come on, ship it out.
Yes.
Everyone has different opinions and different feelings. What I like, I know the next person isn't gonna like. So you have to find that person that's just like you, or maybe even opposite, and just connect that way. Everyone's relationship is not gonna be the same. Everyone's not gonna agree on stuff. And that's when the meddlers come in, because it's always people wanting to chime in on what you're doing based on how they feel.
Yeah.
Tasha, talk about it. Come on.
So it's like you can't really, you can listen to people's advice, but at the same time, it's like take it with a grain of salt and do what you want with it.
Yes.
Don't just take it and let it dictate what you have going on in your life.
Yes. One of the things I will say with meddlers, after being married for 10 years, what I've learned in that crestfallen relationship, but what I will say, what I've learned is that when it comes to meddlers, you have to be careful who you allow to meddle. And meddling is not even a good thing, right? I think we just have to guard our own units, meaning relationships. And what I mean by guard that, be in observance with who you allow to speak to you in your union. Do you have currently a successful relationship? Are you currently single? Have you been married and learned from your mistakes, so you're sharing from a place of wisdom and knowledge, or are you just talking because you're mad and bitter?
Right. Yeah, that you gotta differentiate, because there are a lot of people that are like that and will talk their bitterness onto you.
Yes.
Right.
To get your relationship.
That projection is real.
Right. And then when we hear too many voices, even though we're no longer listening to an actual live conversation like you and I are having right now, they still play. The voices run on repeat, and they create this confusion. You ever hear a bad signal in a radio where you hear other radio stations coming through the same channel?
Yes.
You have to turn it off. You have to just get in a place of quietness. And going back to what
Martil. The H is silent. I'll do it phonetically, or MJ. MJ's cool. You can call me
MJ.
Yeah. Y'all can call me MJ.
Going back to what MJ said, hearing your heart and what in your hearts of heart, what feels right for you, and move according to that. Because I think everybody has an internal GPS that was given to us by God.
By God, yeah.
No, I don't think meddlers they don't necessarily have to be happy or unhappy. They just feel like they have the answer for your situation, and that's why you have to.
So good. Oh, say that again. Wait a minute. What was the statement? What was that? Our meddlers.
Are
unhappy.
meddlers unhappy or not happy? They're not happy people in their relationships.
Meddlers, people who aren't happy with their. Ooh, huh?
Not always.
Not always. Yeah. There's sometimes they just feel like, I have the answer to your problem. And that's why you have, like you said, have to be careful who you share what's happening in your relationship with. Sometimes you just have to work it out between you and that other person and not be like, oh, girlfriend, guess what he did? Lead me to the no. Because your girlfriend probably want him and she gonna tell you everything but what to do.
Yeah.
But
What
you
about-
have to watch who you share what you're going through with. If you're mad, walk it off.
Yeah. Check this out. What about if they have an answer to a question you haven't even asked them?
And
that's your business.
Mind your business. You a little.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to set them straight too, because it's like, when did I ask you anything? Now, if I'm coming to you for advice, then it's like, okay, you share what you want to share. But if you're chiming in on stuff that don't belong to anything you got going on, there's no reason for you to be coming in and telling me what I need to do in my relationships.
Yes.
Right.
Like have that relationships on there.
Got a question.
I'm just kidding. I'm not polygamous.
I think that
What do you ladies
when
do
they're not
those
there,
people have like Darvinique said, you have that person that's never been married, isn't even in a relationship, but they give that advice about how you should handle your marriage or how you should. What do you say to them? Is it hard to say like, well, you can't really speak on this because you like, do you find it hard to tell them, hey, you can't really, or do you just kind of let them talk and take it and leave it?
For me, I honestly feel like I just let them talk, hear what they have to say, because some people do have good wisdom. They do, and they don't have to like actually experience it to know some things. So I'll take it, and if it's like something that I could probably use that will be beneficial for me, then yeah. But if it's just going to be negative words, that's not going to really help, or it's just going to hinder what I have going.
Right.
No, I'm cool.
Thank
you for the advice, but no, I'm cool.
I mean, I think as long as it's not disrespectful to like your significant other or spouse. A lot of times they want to help, and by helping they unintentionally bash the other. As long as it's not disrespectful, I'll listen. Like Ty was saying, I'll give them their ear, and because I know that I trust that they mean well. And if I've shared something, then I've kind of opened the door for them to say something. But if they haven't, then like we said, no. But as long as it's not disrespectful, I'll let them talk. But if it is, I'm good to, I appreciate it and be tactful about it. I appreciate, you sharing that, but I'm just going to stop you right there. That kind of thing. And I think that the girlfriends in my life, that speak into my life, we've been friends for 10, 15, 20 years. So they know me, we know each other. So they're cool about not overstepping, being that line stepper. But I think that it's important to do that. To hold that boundary in your relationship, even those people that mean well and want to meddle or have something to say.
Good. I have a question for all of you. Have you ever been in a situation where it got uncomfortable, or where you felt like you were coming to somebody for advice, or they were just giving advice and they got disrespectful and you had to defend your significant other?
Yes.
It's happened?
Yeah.
How does that go? Do y'all just be like, all right, I'm about to set it off? Or y'all just be like, you know what? This is not the time for that. Or do y'all just hush up and don't defend them? Like, what would you do?
I've never been in a situation like that before.
You've never? Well, that's good.
That is good.
Really good.
Yeah, I've never. So I'm like, I don't know how to handle this.
Yeah, if somebody came up to you and was like, yo, man ain't, let me tell you a little bit of something. And you was like, what would your reaction be like? What would you tell them?
First, I would probably do this.
Get the eyebrow raising. Okay. That's how you feel? Okay, great.
Yep.
And I would process the information before I respond.
Yeah.
I got to get to the core of why are you coming at me like that? Especially if I didn't tell them anything that triggered their commentary.
Yes.
Yeah. But what if you did?
Or what if it was?
I might be in agreement with them at that point if I told them.
Okay.
But no, all jokes aside, no, I would not be in agreement. I might respond more like, you know what, I understand your frustration. I wasn't here to have him disrespected. I think I was sharing this with you come to get more of a solution-based answer. It's already enough drama for me bringing it up. So I'm really here to look for a solution. So anytime I speak to somebody about a problem, that's my end goal. That's my intention. How are you going to help me solve this? If not, we're going to stop talking about it at this point.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I like that.
Well, one thing that me and my sisters, because we're us, it's a lot of us, so we kind of, that's our inner circle. One thing that we have made a rule is when you come to me, you have, before you start telling me anything, let me know what you want from me. Do you want me to just be a sounding board, just listen to you rant? You just want somebody to just be in the room with you? Or do you want me to give advice? Do you want my opinion on the situation? And then we know what we need to do. Okay, I'm just sit here. Yeah, girl, you're right. Yeah. Or I'm like, well, you need to do this, or you need to do that. We just did this so we can remain sisters, because when you start sharing your relationship and things that are happening, it's touchy. And when you say things that people don't necessarily want to hear, sometimes you don't necessarily walk out of that room with that relationship intact. So now you have two relationships that are like battling because you decided to share. So
can we highlight that? That was a pretty smart.
That is good.
Yeah,
that was a pretty
that does
smart.
happen. It happens with your close ones, your loved ones. Like, you're putting in this information and now they're taking it and they're like, well, I got to be in defense mode of this person because now this is going on and I thought they was cool. Well, now I don't like them. So now I'm going to be uncomfortable whenever they come around.
Yes, sometimes your friends just want to vent and have and have you listen. A response isn't always needed.
Exactly.
It's very true.
Exactly. And that's what we learned as sisters. We were like, okay, you just wanted to talk. Gotcha.
Yeah. You have to know when to like have that shutting up sense. Like, if they don't want the advice and they just want you to listen, sometimes if they're like being defensive of anything you say, just
sit back. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Let me listen to
yes, Tequila says you have to be careful who you share your information with about your relationships. And who your relationships are with, because you may have forgotten and moved on, and they're still bubbling in the past conversation. I gotta add that and they never forget to keep dwelling on it or bringing it back.
Yes, that's good wisdom. Yes.
So here's that's a pretty smart quote. And to add to that, what I've learned in my previous relationship is that if you vent to somebody about your significant other, about what they did wrong, and you don't go back and read, like Tequila mentioned, they'll keep dwelling on it. So you have to go back and say at least 5 things that has improved since then, or something good about it. Flushes that previous experience out of them.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
See, that's why I personally, I don't tell people about my relationship, period, because I think that when it gets to a point where you have to be telling a lot of other people certain things, and then you have to go back and intentionally say all these good things, at that point, it's like you're seeking approval from other people that really should not have anything to do with this other relationship, because it has nothing to do with them. I don't know, maybe you can chalk this up to how I am as a person, not really seeking advice from other people. Cause I guess sometimes you do want someone else's opinion. You need more perspective on the situation. But I personally think, depending on what the issue is, talking directly to your partner and leaving literally everybody out of it.
That's always best. Talk to
there
them.
it is.
The thing is,
bring it right to the source.
All they have in that situation is your perspective, and your perspective might not be super accurate. It is still impacting how you feel, but your partner could have something to say about that and be like, wait, hold up, because this is your sort of take on the situation, but this is mine. And then you communicate and you figure it out with them, rather than having somebody else spin you up and you're like, girl, yeah, that is what's happening. And you're like, oh shit, well, okay. And then you come at it from a completely left angle, when you really could have saved yourself a lot of grief and stress if you had just talked to them directly.
Because coming from their prism, if they're not healed, not necessarily unhappy, but if they're not healed, or if they've got a bunch of soul ties that they haven't dealt with, and you're telling them what you got going on, then they're bleeding all over you. They're projecting all over you.
Exactly.
This is what I was
for them instead of for you.
Yeah.
That was
A
gonna
lot of
be.
folks are not really healed, and it's a healing process over time, you know, in between
Yes.
relationships and between whatever those kinds of interactions that healing has to take place, the decompression, the cleansing has to take place. Otherwise, they, you know, a lot of times they'll push it on other people, and I know I've been guilty of that. That's why I'm speaking. I know in the past I'm like, ooh, get all spun up.
We all have.
Yeah, get all spun up, and then I'm like, oh, wait a minute now.
Let me catch myself. This is
let
not my
me,
situation.
let me have a period of
Yeah.
transparency and tell them, hey, don't listen to me, girl. That's just me, you know.
Right. You have to add that in there. That's just my opinion. That's just what I would do.
Yeah.
Always do that.
So,
But
yes,
I'll
I agree with Morgan 100%.
Yes, and I agree with you too, MJ. I have a question. So we go through all of these challenges in relationships, and we all experience, you know, the unknown, the inevitable of pain, fear, hurt is just it's gonna happen in life, outside of relationships and in relationships, right? So let's say you went through a very traumatic pain, hurt, whatever, right? And you know how they say heal first before you start dating again and getting into another relationship. And I know I'm going off topic, Tasha. You hold
No, you good, because I was just about to chime in. Go ahead.
and you meet someone during the time of your process of healing, and you get with someone and you realizing they're actually I guess promoting or helping the healing process. What is their beliefs on that?
I think that's a great
I was
thing,
gonna
but
say.
it can hinder you if you're the one that's like they're basically their punching bag. You know, if you're helping to heal them, you may be hindering yourself as well. So it could be a good thing if you're like strong and you guys are healing together and you're just using each other. But if they're the one that's healing and taking away from you, sucking you dry, then what do you have to give them? You know?
But that's where it comes back into you pouring back into that cup. You have to make sure that when you're pouring out to somebody else, you have something. It doesn't have to be another person, but something pouring back into you, whether it's, you know, your spirituality or whatever. You have to have that pouring back into you. And I will speak from experience. My husband is actually my healer. I was in a very bad low spot, like when I met him, and he healed me. Like, and we are like, y'all already know I talk about my husband all the time. He's my best friend. He's my like, but yeah, he's my healer. But he had a relationship with, you know, God, and you know, I did too. But because we had that, and we actually, you know, started going to church together, we healed. He had some other things that he was dealing with, but he healed me. And hey, you know what? We went. Okay.
Yes, that's nice.
It doesn't have to end bad. It just, like you said, you have to meet that person that's strong enough to handle what your hurt is.
Oh,
I love that.
That was pretty smart.
I love that.
I love that.
I think that I was divine appointments are important and they're real. And I think when you're going through your healing process, sometimes a divine appointment will be that you'll meet somebody that will help in your healing, almost like a doula or almost like a midwife while you're birthing into the next thing. Lena, a doula, yes. So, and it's just for that time. It may not even be. For Lena, it worked out romantic and it's beautiful. It may be for that season as a friend or what have you. There's been instances where I'm not in contact with any of those women anymore, right? I'm not in contact with them anymore. But at the time, they were there for that purpose to help me get over. And it's like when it ended the way it was supposed to. And I look back in fondness. So I think that there are instances where, yes, in the healing process, people will come that have something that you need and you have something that they need, and or you're healing right alongside with them. I think it's just so interesting, that timing thing.
Yeah.
I definitely agree.
That is such a yes for me. So what if you meet someone and they do that? Because okay, I'm talking about the opposite sex, or I mean, in this world, same sex. I'm gonna talk about a person. About a person. So if you meet a person and they start pouring into they start pouring into you these healing elements, right? A lot of times we can fall for somebody or fall in love with somebody because they're doing that when actually they were just there for that specific assignment.
I was to get into that. I was just about to say, like, I completely agree with what was said earlier about some people being there just for the moment and because you needed them at that specific time in your life. Because I'm a big believer in that, like, everything happens for a reason. People don't just come into your life by chance. Like, even if they're not there for a long time, there was a reason they were there. And but I think what a lot of people do is they get caught up in that idea of what you're talking about of, oh, they healed me and now I have this unhealthy attachment to them because it's like they did this for me, or like I need them. And it's like you shouldn't need anyone. I don't think you should ever need anyone
at all.
Right. And so it's like they did that for you in the moment, but now you're past that point, hopefully. And so it's like you can thank them and love them for that without, you don't owe them anything. You know, you don't need to stay with that person if it's gotten to a point where it's beyond them healing you, and now whatever this thing is draining. It's like that your time has passed. You don't owe them anything. You owe it to yourself to be like, okay,
And
goodbye.
see,
I love you, but goodbye.
yes. That's pretty smart. That is pretty smart. One thing I want to say, adding to what Morgan, okay, now that in some capacity gives me a better understanding to Morgan's mindset about not having titles. Because seasons change and timing change and stuff like that. But then, there's just so many different layers to that, because once you say I do in a marriage, the season's going to change. You're going to go through all 4 seasons. And you can't just say, it's time
I'm done. No, we're there.
You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of where the conundrum comes in for me.
But I also think there's something to be said for riding through that. I think especially in like my generation and in my specific location, like LA, people are so fickle. Everything is so fickle. Everything is about personal healing and living my best life. So it's like, as soon as something is draining, okay, bye. But it's like, okay, life is a give and take. Not everything.
Fight through it.
Sometimes you have to ride those waves. And I think that's sort of that balance of you have to decide. You have to know yourself, and you have to decide, like, is this a temporary problem, or is this something I really don't see changing? And also, to me, that comes with history as well. Like, how much history do I have with this person? Like, because I think, especially if you're in a newer relationship, it's not worth going through a bunch of hardship because it shouldn't be hard. But it's like, if you have history, you have something that you are standing on, something that you've built that you're actually standing on. I don't think it's worth giving up just because things don't seem to be going your way right now. I think it's sort of a matter of writing that out. And not giving up, because that's the thing. And I think that's why 50% of marriages end in divorce, and that number is going up all the time. It's because the younger generations are more focused on the self and healing the self and like personal mental health, which is really good. But for things like when it comes to relationships, that sometimes can be like a big sort of obstacle, because you are two very different people. And sometimes what's best for me is not always what's going to be best for you in that moment. Life is about timing. Sometimes your timings align and sometimes they don't. But that doesn't mean that they won't align again later down the road.
Yeah.
Morgan, you said a mouthful. I agree. KeoniProductions says, I agree about the titles with Morgan, but then I also think not having titles is the excuse. Come on, production. Keoni. Yes, when something happens of, hey, that such and such wasn't established.
Yep, that's how
I think what it is, I think this goes back to communication, because it's like, you can establish those things without putting a title. Like, I can say, you're the only person that I'm talking to. I'm not dating anybody. I'm not going on other dates with other people. But like, without officially saying like, oh, so are you my girlfriend? Are you my boyfriend? You know what I mean? Like, we don't necessarily have to put a title on it. I don't need a ring on my finger if we have it established, like,
we're committed to each other.
Yes. Yeah.
But do you think it makes it harder? I mean, easier for them to be like, oh, when it hits the fan.
Definitely mean sorry
to make just like, all right, I'm out.
I think it definitely does. But at that point, why are you trying to stop them? If they don't care about you enough to write it out, and that's what they're going to do, that's what they're going to do. That's not up to, I think that's a big thing for me too. I've never worried about cheating, worried about anybody cheating, because if they're going to cheat, they're going to cheat.
They're going to do
regardless of the title, regardless of what it is. And if that's who you are, that's who you are. Thank you for showing me that. I will move on.
I love that. I love that. I mean, oh yes, MJ, I'm sorry.
No, I totally agree with you on that. It's just for me personally, when it comes to, I need titles. I need where I stand with boxes, and maybe that's the Air Force to me. Like I need to know where I stand. Therefore, so that I can, back to those expectations, I can just be like, okay, well, we don't have a thing going, so I'm not going to expect to hear from you every day. I'm not going to expect you to open the door for me. I'm not going to expect for you to, if we go on a vacation, I'm not going to expect you to pay my way, because we're not. So those kinds of things, it's always like, I never really. So for me, I'd be talking a lot. I'd be having a lot of conversations, because I just wouldn't know what my left is from my right. And it could be a generational thing, Morgan, like you were saying. It could be that too, because when I was younger, I didn't have any problem with that. I'm gonna be 40 now. I need to know what's going on,
Right.
because my time with a kid and everything else, I want to be able to have that conversation with them one shot, and then I can go on about. And I'm not saying that you're not, Morgan. I'm not. I'm just saying that for me, I think titles or some sort of outline or boundaries are important, especially if I'm going to be bringing them around my son or anything like that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Yep.
Right.
I agree with that. I do need a title as well.
Tequila says there is a purpose for people entering your life, whether it's for a season or a reason, or for a season or a lifetime. People get confused and try to hold on to people. Going back to what Morgan said, hold on to people for a lifetime when their season or their reason or the season has expired.
Come on.
Yep.
Oh my God. I want to stick a pin right here for just a moment. I want to expand on this, because I thought about that when Morgan was speaking earlier, and I'm glad Tequila put it in text. So, which is so true. We get into these connections or these bonds with people at a time where we need them. But then when we're nursed back to life, their season comes to an end, And I think that's once again where the conundrum I have when it comes to being married or being, without a title. Are you, and I don't know, y'all. I'm in this weird, strange space relationship wise. And I don't mean because I'm in a relationship. I mean, my views, I'm taking in all this information, and I want to know what would be the best how to thingy.
Well, I'll say this, with having titles or being married, it's not so much the titles for me, it's the marriage part. We could date, no boyfriend, girlfriend title, but eventually that ring is what I was looking for. Not necessarily the object itself, but the covenant that it represents.
Yes.
Not saying that,
Okay.
that to me, that covenant represents you're my partner through thick and thin. We're gonna work this out. If things go left, we're gonna go left. We're gonna work this out no matter what. It's not necessary to me. It's not, oh, he loved me so much, he gave me a ring. No, you mean this much to me. I'm gonna work life with you.
I want to do life with
you.
Yes.
Yep.
Ooh, that was pretty smart too.
I like that. Yes.
I get it.
Clap.
Clap, not laugh.
I definitely said slap too. Yeah, go ahead and slap it.
That works too.
No, but yeah, I agree with you, Lena, on that, because I feel the same way. Like, if I'm dating and we just hang in, I do want to look at you as a potential forever. Like, I want to see if that's something that we could last and eventually get to that marriage. If we're just dating and I don't see nothing, I feel like it's going to be a waste of time. And then the situationships, don't get me wrong, I'll do them. I like them. But I feel like without that title, we don't really have anything to where I'm like, okay, you're the only one that I'm going to entertain. It's just going to force me to think like, you're doing something else, so I'm going to go do something else as well, Yeah. So the situationships, they're cool, but they're not something that I would want to start out in and then lead to marriage with.
I just can happen. I'm about to say
that can happen. You try to knock your wall back for a night, and now it's for a lifetime.
Are you like, who? Where? You want me to go do what?
Dominique, I'm gonna need you to sit out of this subject.
That's what happened to me.
Darvinique, I'm gonna need you to sit out of this part of the subjects when it comes up, please and thank you.
No, don't do Dominique like that. Dominique gonna stay
I
on
totally got
here,
you.
okay? And she gonna get them
Oh my
cheeks
goodness.
clapped.
Them cheeks.
No, you know what? But he's right. This is that time where eventually, I'm getting ready to come to a close. I knew you kind of wanted me to stay for a particular segment of the show, Tashay,
You have a
which
little bit of
was
time.
what,
Go
side
ahead and put
pieces?
it
Was
in.
it side pieces?
Yeah,
Yes.
add it in.
Because I
Yes.
do have a quick question. Has anyone ever played both sides, or has anyone ever played the side chick, whether it was an accident or you intentionally was like, "Hey, I like
Okay, I was just saying, not
Yeah.
intentionally.
Yeah.
Mhm.
an
Mhm.
accident
It happens.
I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, that's life.
Yeah, I
Whether
mean,
it was intentional,
sometimes it's just
whether I
right.
didn't know when I was younger, I didn't care. So who cares? And then there's certainly times where you just didn't know. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I want to hear the story real
I-
quick before you leave. What was your side chick story?
Okay, so my side chick story was caught a thing for a guy, was attracted, you know, buffed a few things out. And then I caught really heavy feelings for this individual. But I will say, so here's the thing. They were very upfront with me in the beginning. They were like, I'm in a relationship, but it's not going anywhere. Soon as I heard it's not going anywhere, I was like, oh, okay, well, they ain't serious anyway. So I might as well just get a little something for me on the side and keep it pushing. That didn't work out that way. I got into this real big entanglement. It unfolded with more information with that person and who that person was, that thing that they were doing. And it really jacked my head up. It really jacked my head up. I went through a lot of emotional changes and stuff like that because I did fall in love. And it was really hard to detach. It was this back and forth thing of, I'm leaving you. You got a whole nother somebody over there. Quit fucking with me, kind of thing. And then I was like, okay, I know I said that, but I mean, I think I
love
need
you.
to.
Yeah.
It was this crazy dance. And I felt like I felt like the side bowl of lettuce.
Girl.
Well, at least it wasn't coleslaw. Just kidding. But yeah, I definitely can relate to that situation. I've been in a situation like that. Thankfully, I didn't fall in love, but it was still, honestly, one of the guys, it was my ticket out because I was kind of like, not feeling it. And then found out he had a woman, and not only was it his woman, it was his fiance, and they had kids, and I didn't even know anything.
Girl, you dodged a bullet. Good job.
Yeah, so
Ooh.
and I didn't even go
Yes.
to her woman to woman. I didn't say nothing. I even stopped talking to him. Didn't even like get closure from him. I just let it go. Just let it
Good
go.
for you.
There's not a lot of side pieces that will do that. Okay, so yeah,
I just feel like when you come to a level of maturity, I think it has nothing to do with age. You just realize this is not a battle for me. I'm gonna let it go. Go on, you can have it.
That's it. Yeah. I think maturity, I think a period of healing, knowing yourself, and really seeking, kind of understanding what you want out of these relationships. Because as a side piece, there's nothing, the glass ceiling is about here.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of times people put themselves in situations that they think they're okay with, and then they're really not, because again, the healing didn't take place. I'm really big on that, for myself anyway, and self-understanding and self-discovery and maturity, like the Daranique was saying, because like when I was younger, no big deal, but then sowing seeds, sowing and reaping, that principle of sowing and reaping is real. They call it karma, they call it what have you, but it is very real. And so there's going to be a time, the shoes on the other foot, whether you're married or in a relationship or a situationship or what have you, and then you want that same grace, you want that same whatever, whereas when one was younger, you may not have cared about that woman, and those things matter, man, like doing people right and moving with integrity, and they just matter.
Yeah,
that matters of the kind of men that you draw. Because if they're going to cheat on their wife or their fiance with you, they're not the type of man that is worthy of you anyway.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, I'll end with this on my end. When I found out how involved the other person was, or how much time was invested with that relationship, even though they weren't quote unquote happy, right? My biggest thing was, I just want to move correctly, and out of respect for her, I don't think this is right, because I would never want to be found out by her like this. If
Yeah.
she ever found out about me, it'll be because you were no longer with her and you moved on with another woman. And let's just say, but hold on, let me be clear. Do not leave her for me. You leave because you don't want to be there, not because of me. I will not accept
Yes.
it.
Mm.
And
That's gross.
that's a real conversation. That's some grown
That's
folks,
some
Yeah.
grown shit for you, because ain't anybody on that level. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
you know.
Everybody ain't on that level.
And that was something I strongly stood by, like, out of respect for her.
Yes.
If you are solely unhappy, then you need to handle that before
Yeah.
trying to read 2 chapters at one time.
Amen.
Say it. Girl.
That was
I
a
like
great ending, girl.
I would say yes.
Like,
Close the book before you open another one.
that.
Yes, ma'am.
I
Mhm.
love
Yes, ma'am.
that.
So with that, ladies, I love you all. It's been beautiful being here tonight on Pretty Smart. As the show continues, you guys will see me on the next episode. I'm Darvanique, and I'm signing off.
Bye, love.
I already.
Okay, Tequila, how do you handle meddlers who are meddling because they have been in a relationship with the person you are with now, thinking you've already lived it?
First of
You
all,
and I already lived it.
You don't talk to them. Why would you be talking to that
I mean,
person?
that's my question. Like, why are you so involved? Why are you here?
Yeah.
Why is he here?
Why are you here? I mean,
Yeah.
okay, wait, let me back up. I have dealt with that before. I won't lie. I have dealt with that before because she was kind of cool with the mom. And so the mom kept her around, but then she would
Mhm.
kind of slip in and throw her little 2 cents in. But I shut it down because first of all, why are you here? You know?
Right.
But you just have to shut that down. That's not their place. Obviously, that person didn't want you. You guys are no longer together because it didn't work out. And you don't know whether it was you or him or whatever that it, that had the flaw. So just worry about yourself. Mind your
Yeah.
business.
I don't think I've ever experienced that per se, but I've seen people go through that, where it's like the baby mama's always around, or the ex-lover is always around, and it's like, no, like, once you cut ties, that's it. I mean, I get, you have the relations with your family members and stuff. Like, I have exes, I'm still cool with their moms, but I would never go out my way to invite myself to the cookout and be sitting there with the girlfriend like, yeah, this is this and this is that. No, that's not my place. I know my boundaries. So I feel like you should always respect those boundaries. If you're an ex for a reason, and you got to stay in that place, unfortunately, for some. Right, John. People feel that if he treated them a certain way, and how they seem treating you better, as if it's not supposed to be or get better at relationships.
You're supposed to grow. When you
Yep.
move from one relationship to the next,
Yeah.
you're supposed to grow, learn those
Exactly.
lessons. Maybe he couldn't do it with you, but he learned a lesson because it didn't work out with you. Like, okay, I'm gonna try something different. Maybe this one will work out. Don't be mad because they grow. That's petty.
And also that woman could bring out something different in a man that
Exactly.
first lady didn't bring. No slight to the first, but it's one of those, you're not the same person in these different relationships. Yes, you grow, but it's also a matter of what that person will allow. And if that person has different boundaries and they carry themselves differently, if the man wants to be around, they're gonna move different, or they're gonna leave.
Yeah, I love that. Have you ever been put in that situation where you've like had an ex and you've seen them treat another woman so well, and it's like, oh man, they are the perfect couple now? Like, does it ever give you that low self-esteem?
No, because once you are done with the relationship, in my opinion, move on. I'm not checking in with my exes. I'm not looking at that. I don't know what they're doing right now.
I've
Because
never stayed in contact with
I'm
any.
like, I don't care. Move on.
I haven't been in that position as if it was me, but I have had it happen to me. Like, someone was jealous of my relationship and was like, hey, I kind of wish that was us. They had their chance. They lost that chance, and now he's here. So,
Y'all so cruel. I mean, no,
no.
I feel for them though, like, because I've been in that same situation, Lena, where I'm in the relationship and they're like, I had an ex tell me that his ex said that, she wishes that our relationship, their relationship was like ours. And to me, I was like, oh, I feel bad. Like, if we don't work out, you should go try to figure it out.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for you. And it's not that I wouldn't feel bad for them. I would hope they find someone that makes them happy, of course. But if I'm in that spot now, why am I feel bad for you? You got out the way so I can get here. It sounds wrong, but
There it is.
I would
get it.
I would also question why they're telling the man that. Like, why are you still talking? Me personally, like, I would not want someone I'm in a relationship with to still be talking to their ex unless there were like outstanding circumstances, like they had a child with that person, or there's a reason they need to be in that person's life. There's
no need to communicate. I agree.
Well, with that, she had his number still and just randomly text him.
Oh, let's go get new numbers then.
Yeah.
That stuff I don't mind. And I do want to ask this too. It's kind of off subject, but I had seen it on like Facebook or something, and it kind of made me wonder, like, the whole thing with texting or liking other people's posts when you're in a relationship. Like, I'm a territorial person, but that stuff does not bother me at all. I mean, even if you're texting, as long as it's not like going too far, like where y'all meeting up and talking and stuff, then texting, I don't mind. If you give a compliment to a female, cool. Hell, she is pretty, Like, how do y'all feel about that?
I will say the social media stuff, I don't really mind. Like liking photos, I don't care. You're scrolling, you're liking, it's very harmless. But like texting, why do they have your number? Because that you had to go so far as to somebody had to get somebody's number. That's not just something that you stumble upon. And then complimenting, I don't think, and like maybe there are some really nice people who just give compliments just to give them. You don't compliment someone.
Yeah. Did you compliment me today? If you don't compliment me today, you ain't complimenting nobody.
Like you don't, even if you think it in your head, you don't need to tell. Especially if it's not in person, you're like, oh, I really like what you wear. Oh, you look pretty. Like you text.
You can put it under the picture.
Yeah. Oh, okay, Morgan. Let me renege on what I said because you kind of said it straight. So yeah, I do agree. Like if you exchange numbers with somebody, it's too much. And while we're together, then yeah, I would feel some type of way. But if it was like let's say for example, y'all in a situationship, they had already got that person's number previously. And then that person just randomly hit them up like, hey, how you been? It's been a long time. And they're like, yeah, I'm in a relationship right now. Everything's cool. Thank you for checking on me. Something like that. Like, I wouldn't mind that. It doesn't bother me.
Because they let them know. You sitting here chit-chatting for days and months. No, you ain't letting nobody know.
Right. Because at that point, it's like keeping someone on the hook just in case y'all don't work out.
Exactly.
And it's like,
precisely. And I'll say this conversation is timely because from the start of the new year, 2 exes reached out to me, and I'm like, Morgan, like once I'm done, or in you as well, once I'm done, I don't, I'm not interested. But they reached out, hey, how you doing? We're trying to go down memory lane, and it's one of those once let them know up front, married and all this and that, off the market, not really interested, and so on and so forth. Thanks and take care. Take care. Right. And it's one of those and you move on. You don't want to ever leave that door cracked because there's a reason why they're an ex. And listening to them talk, I thought after 16 years, y'all ain't changed. Neither one of y'all, And so it's really interesting to hear those kinds of things. But yeah, when it comes to social media too, there's just so many like rules of unspoken etiquette. Like that's something that folks really should have a conversation about in the beginning. Because I know mine is on Facebook. I don't know what he clicks on. I don't know what he does. I don't keep track of it. But if somebody really does care and they're territorial about that, it's necessary to have those conversations, because you see some heart faces underneath somebody's picture, it's gonna be a problem.
I think likes are one thing. I think those are really kind of like pointless. They don't mean anything. But a comment,
I don't really mind the comment either, because like depending on like what the photo is of, like of course if it's of her behind and stuff, you're okay, what you doing? But if it's like we deal with a lot of artists, so it's art. And then sometimes you have to look at the actual photo if it's in, because they have boudoir, all those types of lingerie and things like that. So you have to look at the context before you be like, okay, he's doing something crazy. No, maybe not. Maybe he just liked it.
What about following new accounts? Like following, like following accounts. They're not new accounts, but they're accounts new to him, and he's following them. Again, I wouldn't know how you track that kind of stuff, but
but why are we tracking it if you trust
that's
that?
What I'm saying. Like,
it's like
trust, but when it comes to seeing likes or comments or follows and stuff like that, like I said, I don't keep track of that kind of stuff, but some people do, and to me that's a caution in and of itself. That requires some further introspection as to why you feel the need to do that with your significant other and what have you, but it happens. And so
I think if that's down the same road as like checking your partner's phone. Like, I feel like a lot of people are like, I do that. I think that's okay. We give each other's phones and we check. I personally would never do that. I don't think that's okay. I would get angry if somebody asked to look at my phone, regardless of what was on there. It could be nothing. I would get angry if you asked, because at that point, it's like, you don't trust them. You have monitoring them like their mother. Like, no,
you're not my mom, you're not my dad.
Yeah. And then at that point, it's like, are we in a relationship or am I on parole?
Right. Y'all, I really love this topic. I feel like we definitely will have to use this topic again. Number 2, because this was a good topic. We are running out of time, but that was really great. I thank you guys for putting your input on this whole relationship meddlers. And I know we got a little bit off subject, and I definitely do want to finish the whole side chick thing because we didn't get to get too deep into that. But yes, that wraps up our show. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ladies. Love you, love you, love you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll drink to that.
Okay.